a playlist original.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Back to the Blockbuster with your hosts Gaius and Jackson, coming off the 81st Golden Globe Awards. We were not there, but
a dream that would have been to have been there.
Yeah, but I did watch it live, and Jackson was able to look up stuff about the winners and watch recaps. So between the both of us, we're gonna go through how one of Hollywood's biggest nights went. It's like a big precursor to the Academy Awards.
Right.
For a long time labeled as the fun award ceremony, because everyone sits at cocktail tables and they drink and they get a little drunk, and it's not as formal. But in recent years, there's been controversy with the Golden Globes because they were having issues within the Hollywood foreign press regarding diversity and inclusion. When they kind of, it came to light that there weren't any really people of color as part of the Hollywood foreign press voting for these awards, and there's a huge backlash against them. Tom Cruise gave back his Golden Globes when this all happened. A lot of celebrities refused to go or be associated with the Globes, and then COVID happened, so they had like a lot of like COVID related ceremonies where there wasn't really quite a ceremony. They just announced some winners and no one really went.
They did like a broadcasted one year, did they not?
Yeah, and then like last year they tried to go back to normal. And a lot of celebrities were still on the fence about going. So that one was rated pretty poorly. I think it was the lowest rated Golden Globes, even more lowly rated than the COVID just announcing winners award ceremony. Right. So that's like a sign of like how, they're in a bad place. But, now, they have a new home. They're on CBS this year. They used to be on NBC. They streamed it on Paramount Plus as well. And then we just found out before we started recording, estimated 9.4 million people watched it live last night, and that's a 50% increase from the year before. So when I told Jackson that, he was like, whoa, that's a pretty big increase, but that's how low it got last year.
And those are just the the network numbers. Those doesn't include streaming. Is that right?
Yeah, just the network numbers.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting. I wrote a feature for Movie Web about how I think these award ceremonies should be strictly on streaming at this point, because it seems like it's a very niche audience, and like everyone doesn't really want to watch these on network TV anymore. It's not like it used to be. Like the award ceremonies have just changed in the last few years, and Netflix will have the SAG Awards exclusively this year. They're going to be on their platform. Cool. I feel like they tested the Golden Globes on Paramount Plus just to kind of also see how it would do via streaming. A lot of these award ceremonies, their contracts are up with the networks within the next few years. So it'll be interesting to see like if they go, totally streaming. I can see that being in the future, though.
I was about to say the exact same thing. I can see that being the future for and like, although I think there's a conversation to be had about streaming's role. There always will be a conversation about streaming's role in movies, but I think this would be one thing where I 100% think that would be a great thing for streaming to eat up is award ceremonies. Right. I think that works really well. It's accessible probably to the largest audience possible. And it would be certainly make things easier for me to watch them. The last 2 years in a row, I kind of struggled finding the Oscars, and I put a few, this last year I was messaging you at the time. I couldn't find a way to stream it. I don't have cable TV in my apartment because who has that anymore? My parents still have it, but I'm 20 minutes away from them. And so this year, if I can't get it figured out, I'll probably just go there in advance. But if it was on streaming, it would make it so much easier. So I hope that's what we're moving towards, but we'll see.
And it gives it an opportunity for the audience that really wants to watch it. They will see it on streaming rather than having to deal with networks and then like the advertising for all that, because that's what network TV cares about. They want to sell ads. And then there's also a lot of these award shows run over. You won't have to worry about that on streaming.
True.
Compared to network TV, because network TV, the different affiliates have like their local news or whatever airs after these award shows. So when they're pressed for time, that becomes an issue. And then on streaming, they would not be censored at all either. They could just air them as they are.
Nice. That's a good point. There's so many implications. That's great. I never even thought about that. I'm also thinking too, if it's promoted like good, then you'd probably rein in some other casual audience members that might not otherwise have thought to tune in or even known where you could watch these things. I'm sure people browsing so-and-so streaming service one night, if they see an ad for, the SAG Awards on Netflix, might tune in and see what it's all about. So there's more people definitely to attract.
Yeah, for sure. And, And I honestly think that's what CBS was testing out. I mean, they have, I think it's a 4-year contract that they have the award show for. That's usually the normal one. But considering that it was a marked improvement even live on the network, that's good for, to have the big story for CBS be like, hey, this is our first year with the ceremony. It was up 50% from last year. That's good news all around. And now look good in the trades when they run stories about the show's ratings. Now the show's reviews as a whole, that's a whole different story.
Well, how was your experience watching? Because as you said, I was working last night. Otherwise, I would have done my best to try and watch the show. And I was surprised when I was looking through the highlights this afternoon. I didn't even really know. I don't think I even remembered when the host was announced. I wasn't familiar with them. And then I watched the monologue and some of the awards, and it was very telling. And I think it was pretty much unanimous about the reception of the show last night. I want to know what you thought about, though.
Yeah, it's so they had a hard time finding a host. I think, like we said, a lot of people were apprehensive about even being associated with the Golden Globes. So I think that had a lot to do with them finding a host late. Jo Koy took the gig pretty late, and he did say even in his monologue that he had 10 days to kind of put all that together, and that's not a lot of time to do something like that. And I'm familiar with Jo Koy's stand-up. He is funny in stand-up, but hosting a live ceremony and doing stand-up are completely different things. Yeah. Even though it seems like they would be the same thing, like on paper, but they're, if someone's at your stand-up, they're usually they're all there for you. Like they're familiar with your humor, they're familiar with like your acts and your routine. He had to figure out how to read a room with a lot of people that probably didn't even know who he was, and that can be very difficult, I think. And I think it's really good clickbait for people to just trash him and how that all went,
which certainly seems to be what people are doing. I haven't seen a positive thing about it, and that is definitely that's low-hanging fruit based on what I've seen. I think a lot of people, you're right, aren't giving proper attention to the difficult task that he had. But regardless, some of it was tough to watch.
Some of it was tough to watch. I actually cringed during certain moments. You watch something that is very uncomfortable and you get secondhand embarrassment. Yeah. And that's kind of how I kind of felt. But I will say, just to put a positive spin on it, it's not easy and it's hard.
Oh God, I wouldn't want to be up there.
You're in a room with so many important people and then trying to tell jokes, some of them at their expense, and some of them might land and some of them might not. And a lot of his didn't. The one thing I will say that I think he shouldn't have done, but I think it was more like a nervous thing because of he told a Taylor Swift joke that definitely didn't land, especially with her, right? Because they cut to her and she didn't seem to. Even though I thought
she had for him,
icy stare, but I thought maybe she would have a sense of humor about it, at least smile. I don't know.
I don't think his joke was bad. It wasn't a bad joke down at all. It was honestly pretty tame. So I thought she could have at least cracked a smile. I agree with you on that. It wasn't it really was bad towards her.
Yeah, and he explained today he's been doing interviews, and kudos to him for actually doing interviews all day and addressing hey, I think it didn't go, he had fun, but he understands the reviews. It didn't go the way that entirely the way he wanted to, and he was kind of hurt by some of the reviews, but he's out there in the forefront of the media today giving interviews and talking about it, so at least he's taking his lumps in person.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That joke he said wasn't really supposed to be about her. It was more about the NFL and them constantly cutting to her at those games. And so I get his intention behind the joke, and the joke a pretty easy easy joke to tell, but still funny enough that I would think that she kind of have a sense of humor about it. And the icy stare, that's always that was a joke that everyone's been talking about. There was also the joke about Barbie, which I understand why that didn't land well either, especially because that movie screenwriting wise, the way that Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig attacked that movie as writers and her as a director, the movie is much more than that joke.
That gave me the impression that he didn't watch the movie. Actually,
that gave me the impression too that was what was happening there, and so didn't work. But what I meant to say, what I said, the one thing I didn't really like that he did is when he seemed to be backed into a corner and the jokes weren't landing, and he did bring up the fact that he only had 10 days to do this, and some of these he wrote basically, and some of these he didn't, and then the ones that he did right are the ones you're laughing at. well, I mean, just coming off of like a writer's strike and then kind of throwing the other writers under the bus, even if it was like a nervous reaction to their response to your jokes,
yeah,
was a little bit in poor taste. But I will give them the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe he was nervous and it was like he was kind of like in that moment, like, what do I do to recover? And
I agree with you. And props to you, because I think you're giving him a lot more consideration than most outlets that I have read are. And I'm sure some people are thinking that too. And it's easy to poke fun and criticize instead of put yourself in their shoes and think about what it would actually take and the courage it would be to be up on that stage. So, kudos, because it's definitely not an easy job. You're totally right, though. Throwing the writers in the bus is in poor taste, but I agree that it was probably a nervous reaction. I can't say that I would act any differently if I was dishing out jokes that weren't landing. There was literally like, I remember watching, like when I was on lunch watching some of the highlights, and I just watched like the Golden Globes YouTube account of like the 10 or 11 minute monologue. And on their posts on YouTube, there's like very little laughter throughout, but watching some highlights on different channels, you can tell there's a laugh track added on some of them because it's very different. Yeah, it's very poignant.
Yeah, someone posted a image of him on stage and then just an image of like the crowd, and there's a lot of sour faces. Like, and someone was like, "This image like has to like be a bummer to him." And like, I mean,
definitely.
But I guess as a comedian, like maybe you're used to kind of like some of this work, some of it doesn't. And I think what he's kind of said in the interviews today is that I think a lot of them get the impression that hosting something like this will be similar to doing stand-up. And like, I think they learned that it's not. It's very different. But that being said, I think he's normally a funny stand-up comedian, and for better or worse, now people know who he is.
Yeah, there you go. They say there's no such thing as bad press, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I know. I don't want to really say that like he's not funny, because I think he is. I just, he just wasn't right for this.
Yeah,
he wasn't right for this, and he got asked to do it pretty last minute. Usually, you like land on a host much earlier than they landed on him, because there needs to be more time to prepare for it. And the fact that he even took the gig that last minute, I think he should get some credit for that instead of just blatantly trashing him. So I mean,
that blame, I say, belongs to the Hollywood Foreign Press, and I get that it's hard. Maybe people aren't lining up to host that awards show right now, but I can't see a reason why they aren't looking for a host many months in advance and have a checklist of 100 people and just make your way down it. If they say no, they say no. 10 days seems inexcusable. Honestly, that is.
Yeah, I agree.
I give them props for even accepting that. That's a tough challenge. So,
and I don't know where I land on hosts or no hosts, because sometimes
that's like, another thing, right?
Because sometimes I'm like, if you couldn't find one in time, you guys could have just ran it with a bunch of celebrities presenting. I mean, like, or have a bunch of Kristen Wiggs and Will Ferrells just announce awards, because their bit was funny. I mean, they usually like do funny stuff when they're presenting, like get people like them to just present and do something funny. But then on the flip side of that, I guess you kind of do need an MC to guide the show along.
Yeah.
So like I don't know sometimes. I mean, I think in this case, it probably would have been better if they just kind of would have just ran with celebrities just presenting the awards, and it would have made for a probably shorter show, and they would have been a little tighter, and there'd be less this criticism about like, what jokes landed and what didn't. So I don't know. I'm on the fence about.
Let me ask you this too, because I saw this in a couple of the videos that I watched about the presenters. I didn't, like I said, though, I haven't seen the whole show, but did the presenters announce the awards with their backs to the audience the entire show?
No, some of them were facing them.
Oh, some of them were.
Yeah.
I think I saw might have been Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in the shot. I saw their back was to the audience speaking to the camera, and I thought, and someone pointed that out like in a comment or something. I was like, is that how they did that? Anyway, that's good.
Yeah,
usually that's very odd.
Usually not. It's really awkward. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But overall, I like a lot of the reviews I kind of agree with. I think while the attempts to be funny and the opening monologue and all that were clunky, I do think overall it was a good celebration of the movies that have been highlighted during award season. So at least there was, the wins made the night kind of more memorable. And I just want to try to focus on that rather than the,
exactly
whether or not he did a good job or not. Because at the end of the day, it's not about him. It's about like what was nominated, what won, and all that.
Tell that to everybody
So,
else. A lot of
yeah,
people
I know.
I'm sure that will die down in the coming days, but I know we're going to get into specific awards because we're going to list off the big ones. But
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you too, you know, hosts aside, were there any surprises or significant upsets did you find in any of the awards that were dished out? Any of the winners did you find?
I wouldn't say upsets. I was surprised. I mean, I knew that first like best musical or comedy. I thought that was going to come down to Barbie and Poor Things, but I even thought like the Holdovers would be another one that could win it.
Right.
But I thought Barbie would get it, and Poor Things ended up winning. And I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard really good things about it.
I can't wait to get my eyes on that movie.
But like Barbie felt like, you know, the Golden Globe
favorite
movie and like a favorite, and you know, the one they ended up getting, they did get one for. Oh, I was surprised about this. The best original song one did go to Barbie, but it wasn't I'm Just Ken. It was What I Was Made For by Billie Eilish, which is,
that's right.
I guess of the 3 songs that keep getting nominated all award season, which is Dance the Night by Dua Lipa, What I Was Made For by Billie Eilish, and I'm Just Ken, which is composed by Mark Ronson, who composed the score and music for the whole movie, and performed by Ryan Gosling. What I Was Made For is lyrically, as far as the themes of the movie, a better song. And I got why it did win when it did. I was like, but I thought the whole like kind of satirical, jokey nature of I'm Just Ken would win. Yeah. Make that one would win that one. I still think that one's going to win the Oscar at the end of the day. But that one kind of surprised me. But other than that, the other award they did take home was the Cinematic Box Office Achievement.
Yeah, that seemed like a shoe-in.
The Participation Award.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you made money. I still don't agree with the award, but I will say that I think Margot Robbie in her speech really saved that moment by saying that award should have been dedicated to the fans who all went to go see the movie and paid to go see the movie. And I think it kind of took a less of the kind of stink off of like what that award really meant. Like it felt like, you know, because, you know, they nominated Taylor Swift's movie. That was an attempt, I think, by them to get her to come, and she came, and and that leads to ratings. So, but I will say, I think that Margot Robbie saved it a bit by saying what she said.
Didn't see her speech for that yet. I'll have to look that up afterwards. I couldn't get them all.
I mean, it was a good, like, you know, kind of a fan appreciation thing. Good. And I think that was the best way to kind of flip that, because I think everyone that wrote about that award when they announced it was like, this sounds like the worst kind of, you know, congratulations, you made money. And that's not really like a
I know,
you know,
awards worthy sort of thing. Yeah.
But at least they turned it around. And but what you are kind of seeing is a little bit of a, you know, funny discourse, because there are some people that don't love Barbie, and this one person was like, oh, they just made that award so they can like give Barbie something, you know, like they was just really like, there's always going to be some kind of naysayer
for sure
about it. But yeah, not all the other, I mean, the people that won, I wasn't like too surprised by it. I mean,
there was nothing. I agree.
Groundbreakingly like shocking, which is, and I'm kind of fine with that. Like I was happy with everyone that took home awards for the most part. So yeah, nothing really too outrageous, I guess.
I agree. I thought pretty much before I asked if that's what you'd say. I was just curious in case, but it seemed like a pretty, I don't know if I want to use the word vanilla, but like there weren't really any upsets, which isn't a bad thing, but yeah, it just seems like the Hollywood Foreign Press is pretty much on board with what everybody else is thinking so far, but be interested to see how it compares to the Oscar nominations that come out. I'm sure a lot of those people will be winning again then. It'll be tighter race in some categories, no doubt. But before we list off the winners, I'm just thinking now in advance, I have the Guardians winners list up, but I want to make sure we have the same one. So where are you reading?
Okay,
because I don't want to cross paths.
I can do
stuff.
I can do Guardians. I was on Deadline, but I can do the Guardians.
Okay, I was gonna say I could jump on Deadline too, but
and also we don't really cover TV a lot on here. But all I will say is that if you were a fan of The Bear or Succession, it was a very good night.
Both shows I need to see.
Succession won Best Drama, and The Bear won Best Comedy, which I know a lot of people were like, "Is it really a comedy?" I watched a few episodes. It feels more. It walks that fine line of like, and you know, and then Jeremy Allen White won a lead on The Bear as well. almost every actor from Succession was nominated for a Golden Globe, and Sarah Snook and Matthew McFadden and Kieran Culkin all won in their respective categories as well. And then and also people who watch Beef, Stephen Yuen and Ali Wong both won for limited series, and then that show won for limited series. Beef is actually really, really good if you haven't watched it. I know we were just talking about how there's like not enough time in the day to watch all this stuff, but it's pretty good.
It had been on my radar before. Cam really put me on that show. He watched it soon after it had debuted, and while I had always planned on watching it, with all these significant wins, it has jumped to the forefront of my watch calendar. So I imagine I'll be getting it in. I'm hoping this month. Like, I can't stay away from it anymore. It looks fantastic, and I'm really excited to see both of those performers in the show. I have not heard anything beyond amazing, incredible things about that limited series. So happy for everyone involved that won awards that night for Beef. Yeah, it's high on my list.
Yep, and I'm a fan of Succession. I watched all 4 seasons. I respect the show that bows out when they feel like it's time to bow, and they were like, we're going to do 4 that tells our complete story. I could have done with 1 more season. That would have been great, but they finished very strong, and probably some of the best episodes of TV I've watched. One episode in particular is like really, really great in season 4. And I knew after that episode aired, I was like, yeah, that show's.
I remember when it was coming out, the reviews came out, and everyone was saying, "Yeah, one of the best television episodes ever."
Like every other drama this award season, like, don't come to the Emmys and don't come to the Golden Globes because you're not going to win. Like, Succession's going to win. The only competition that seems to be is like themselves. So I thought that was something to really point out about the TV side of things, since we don't really cover it too much. But yeah. I guess onto the movie. I'm trying to pull up the Guardian one, but it keeps not coming up.
Okay, that's all right. I'll look up Deadline here, and we'll get the show going. So what? Deadline, Golden Globes, 2024. Let's see.
Boom. It should be Oppenheimer and Poor Things win top movie prizes at Golden Globes, and there's a complete winners list if you scroll down.
Let's see here. Press room show. Press room.
And then I and I kind of forgot what other, like, on the even TV side, what other stuff was nominated, because they only 2 shows really won stuff. So I had to like look up like what the competition was, and I also realized there's not a lot of TV shows I watch. I guess too.
I know. I've been crazy on TV lately.
But yeah, it's crazy. And then also I watched Abbott Elementary. It was like a big winner last year in its first season. It was nominated for a lot this year, didn't win anything, but it was the only real representation of network TV. It airs on ABC. And it's crazy. The sign of the times have changed, where it's streaming and cable, and if you're lucky as a network television show, you can sneak in there, but I feel like it's damn near impossible now, because streaming and cable shows are so strong. So just wanted to point that out as well.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
I'm
ready to go. I got the Deadlines list in front of me. You can kick us off.
All right. Well, I guess start with the big one of the night. Even though announced last, when Oprah Winfrey comes out on stage to announce the award, it's the last award of the night, and it's the big one. But best motion picture drama went to Oppenheimer, and that was pretty I think on brand with what most of us thought was going to happen. I was completely fine with that.
Yeah.
People still think the award season race comes down to Barbie and that movie, and I don't know if it's that so much. I still think Killers of the Flower Moon is still like a viable contender for like any Best Picture prize coming up. And it should be noted too, like the Golden Globes aren't a huge precursor to the Oscars. It's like a different voting body. So sometimes they match up, sometimes they don't. And of course, the Golden Globes splits up drama and then musical comedy. So some of those people in those like comedy musical categories may not make it into the final mix of Best Actor, Best Actress, all that, or even like in the Best Film category. So there's to take that into consideration. But you've been a big cheerleader for Oppenheimer.
Yes, I have been very happy. I can't say I was surprised when I read that it had won for Best Motion Picture Drama. but great for the movie. I know it did very well last night. But yeah, no, I agree. I don't necessarily think it was a very strong year last year. I don't think it's necessarily a shoe-in. I also think Poor Things stands a good chance. I guess we'll know more on the 23rd when Oscar nominations are announced, but definitely in the front runner spot, and that's proven last night. Following that, we've got best performance by a female actor, which interesting wording. I don't know if that's always the case or if they ever say actress, but female actor. I've never noticed actually. I don't think I've noticed, but saying it out loud, I don't know if I've ever read it that way. But best performance by a female actor in a motion picture drama goes to Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon. I know a lot of people happy. Her performance was fantastic. Not necessarily a surprise, but I think it's going to be down to her and Emma Stone for the Academy
Seems
Awards.
like it.
Yeah,
seems like it. And first Indigenous to win the award as well. So
big milestone.
And and I mean, I asked a big milestone and not some kind of diversity win either. This is like a very well deserved.
That's right.
She's very, very good in it, and has some pretty strong scenes. And she's pretty much been dominating this category for most of award season. So it wasn't a surprise to see her win. I too think it's coming down to her and Emma Stone. As far as best actress at the Academy Awards, but we shall see. And then speaking of Poor Things, it did win best motion picture musical comedy. We mentioned that a little earlier. Some people thought it was a little bit of an upset beating Barbie, but I don't know. What do you think about that?
Haven't seen either, so I don't have much of a dog in the fight. I guess I was like, if you had asked me earlier in the year, I wouldn't have thought Poor Things would have been as much of a people's movie as it really seems to have been because of just the obscure sort of filmography that Yorgos Lanthimos has. But I have heard nothing but outstanding things for Poor Things. A lot of people that I follow have put it amongst their favorite movies. So interesting to see that it's been giving Barbie a run for its money. I can't say if I'm surprised one way or another, but both of those movies I'll be getting in this month for the first time, and I'll have more to say, I guess, once the Oscars come. But yeah, good for it.
Yep. Good for it. And it does seem like it's one of those, like, kind of some people say, I think it's too weird to be considered an Oscar baiting movie. Like when people say, "Oh,
I agree," I don't think it's Oscar bait. No,
I was like, it looks way too offbeat, and the fact that it is getting so much recognition is, I think, a great thing because it really does look like it a little left of center, and that's the best way to describe it.
Exactly.
But yeah, I can't wait to watch it. I need to make the time to see it because it's actually finally at a movie theater close to where I live.
It's not at my local one yet. I don't know when it comes, but I'll be there first week for sure. I've been waiting for it for a long time. Love that filmmaker and everything he's done so far. So
nice.
Yeah. Next one, we've got best performance by male actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy. I'm sure a lot of people are happy for this gentleman too. Paul Giamatti wins for The Holdovers. Again, I think him and Cillian too are going to be fighting for the Academy Award.
Yeah, I think so too. There is also an outside, with Bradley Cooper. I'll mention him when we mention the other guy. But yeah, Paul Giamatti. It seemed like the whole room was very happy for Paul Giamatti winning that Golden Globe, and much deserved because he was really great in The Holdovers. And I also want to point out that someone took a picture of him at a In-N-Out Burger here in Los Angeles after he won. In-N-Out is a pretty big burger spot here, and I just love that instead of fancy Golden Globe after party, he went to In-N-Out Burger with his Golden Globe sitting firmly on the table for all to see. So
that's awesome.
Kudos to Paul Giamatti for being all of us after a ceremony like that. I thought was awesome. So I guess next we already talked about cinematic and box office achievement. I went to Barbie, and we also mentioned best original song, so I'll skip by that. I guess another best original score, Oppenheimer, Ludwig Göransson won for that. I feel like that's the front runner too for that award. It's a great score, and any excuse I can have to hear it, then I will gladly listen to it.
I have several of the soundtrack like on my phone, like just on Spotify, like in my scores playlist, and I still have been listening to them even though it debuted months ago. Man, that score is fantastic. I agree. I think it really belongs to Ludwig Göransson.
Yep. And great piece of music. And I can't think of anything else I would want. I mean, I guess the Cross the Spider-Verse score is also very good.
Yeah, true. Was it nominated? I can't remember.
Yeah, that would be my second if I had to pick. But yeah, I was fine with this win. So What you got next?
Our next best performance by male actor, this time for motion picture drama. No surprise. Cillian Murphy wins for Oppenheimer. He had a very funny acceptance. Trying to wipe his wife's makeup off his nose during his speech was funny to watch, and very humble approach. It was, great win for Cillian.
Yeah, and I also loved Michelle Yeoh got to be up there when he won. They were in a movie called Sunshine back in the day. It's a very good.
I didn't know Michelle Yeoh was in that. Okay.
Underrated sci-fi movie. Didn't make a lot of money, but it has a cult following now, and they were in that together. So
Danny Boyle, right?
Danny Boyle. Yeah. So it was a nice little like moment to kind of have them on stage and him getting that honor from her. Nice. I'll mention Bradley Cooper. I think I mentioned on one of our episodes that every award season it seems like people turn against someone, and Bradley Cooper is that person right now. There's a lot of memes and stuff making fun of him losing, and him being upset that he lost to Cillian Murphy. I don't know if that there is any real animosity between the two of them at all. I don't know if it's just made up on the internet. For people who have seen my show and think that, the fact I told you I saw it and he's great in it. I just thought the movie as a whole was a tad pretentious, and I think that is what's kind of rubbing some people the wrong way. And now they've decided to, turn on him this award season and kind of making them the butt of a lot of jokes. Don't agree with it, but that's kind of what is happening. It seems. But yeah. And I guess we got best performance by female actor in the motion picture music or comedy went to Emma Stone for Poor Things. Jennifer Lawrence is actually really good friends with Emma Stone, and she knew she wasn't going to win for No Hard Feelings, but I did love when the camera was on her.
Yes, that was a good moment.
She said, that was really funny. Like, if I don't win, I'm leaving, like that kind of thing. And then the genuine excitement that she had for her friend winning, because I feel like Jennifer Lawrence is very smart and is aware, like, hey, I'm just happy to have been invited to the party. For
exactly.
I wasn't the front runner here.
A moment for me personally that it actually did like some brand reparation for Jennifer Lawrence for me. I was like, that's funny. She clearly isn't like in there, like, she's happy for Emma Stone. Like, that was actually a funny moment for her. She's done some things in the past and I was like, kind of rubs me the wrong way. But I think overall, like, I'm coming around to her a lot. I'd actually love to see No Hard Feelings. I didn't make the time for it when it was in theaters, but she is a funny woman. I'll give her that. And that was a good moment. One of the highlights of the show, like in the recap that I was watching. Yeah, it made me giggle.
Yeah, it's really funny. And it's fitting that you get to do this one. So there you go.
Yes, best director. Overall, motion picture, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer. So happy for him. And his first Golden Globe, which is insane considering his filmography. I mean, I'm sure he's been nominated. I think it was his 6th nomination, first win, if I remember correctly.
And huge standing ovation in the room too. That was nice to see. That you could tell that everyone in that room was like, you deserve to be up there. So,
and he'd been up there before, and he mentions it in a speech. He had accepted Heath Ledger's Golden Globe on his behalf after his untimely death, but for him to be up there winning it for himself this time was awesome to behold. And the score too of Oppenheimer playing on his walk up to the stage was such a great moment. I'll be rewatching that for him. I'm so happy for Chris Nolan.
Yep. And I think we're pretty close to calling him an Academy Award winning director.
Christopher
Nolan.
I really think you're right. I cannot wait for the day.
Best animated feature, The Boy and the Heron. It keeps coming down to this and Across the Spider-Verse. I haven't seen this. You saw it.
Fantastic.
And I guess like everyone is pretty happy with that win. It seems like people who also love Across the Spider-Verse are not upset with this win at all.
Any other year, I think it belongs to Across the Spider-Verse, but when Hayao Miyazaki comes out, it's hard to compete with that. Man, he is a genius in the animation category and just filmmaking in general. If you do get around to see it, I have no doubt that you will very much like it.
Enjoy it. All right, I'll check it out.
So we got a couple television series to skip, but I will include Best Motion Picture Non-English Language. This has been a movie that I've been very excited to see. Anatomy of a Fall, which was I'm just seeing now. Neon
really
produced. Yeah, French movie. Cannot wait. Very happy that it snuck that win in there. Wasn't very surprised. I think Past Lives, right, was another one.
Is another front. Yeah.
Really would have came down to the two of them.
To those two, yeah. And it's on the Dropbox now for you to watch, so you can check it out. It's really good. It's solid.
Cannot wait.
And I was really happy that it won that, and I was also even with the next one for best screenplay, that it also won for best screenplay. A lot of people are really rooting for it as far as an original screenplay. And now that Barbie's out of that running of the Oscars and now as an adapted screenplay, it has a shot now. I think, but not like a huge shot, but it still does. I mean, with Barbie moving to adapted, I think that opens up. A lot of people are saying Past Lives. Some people are saying Anatomy of Fall. Some people are saying The Holdovers. There's that whole what makes an adapted versus original screenplay for the Academy Awards is a weird thing, and it's because Barbie was campaigning all season as an original screenplay. As like you've seen at other award shows, it has been nominated in the original screenplay category, but they consider it adapted because it's based on previous IP that's not original. So
I would love to dive into that a little bit later too when the conversation comes up, because that is a great conversation definitely for the show.
Yeah. I guess we have like a couple other big ones. I guess another one that you could do because it's from Oppenheimer, so you're getting all the Oppenheimer ones.
Yeah,
for sure.
Sorry, I looked away and now I'm lost here.
These are the last two at the bottom, I think, because I think the rest are just TV.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah, best performance by male actor in supporting role in any motion picture goes to Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer. He had my favorite speech of the night. He killed it. Although, I don't know if I'm like just out of touch. I don't know what a beta blocker is. I know he addresses that in his speech at the beginning.
I don't either.
But his speech was awesome. He killed it. Someone made a comment that I really resonated with, because I remember thinking this while watching it, because it's months, even years in between like me actually seeing what Robert Downey Jr. is like in person. And someone goes, and some YouTube comment, they go, it's funny to see that he's sometimes I forget he's not actually Tony Stark in real life. He's just Robert Downey Jr. because the characters are so similar. Anyway, he couldn't have been more fit for that role. Very happy he won for Oppenheimer. He's fantastic as Louis Strauss, and very happy for him.
Beta blockers are used to control heart rhythm, treat angina, and reduce high blood pressure.
Okay. So something that mellowed him out, I guess. So his heart
out,
okay, makes sense.
I was happy that he won. It's crazy to me that he doesn't have this is on his road to Oscar, even though I don't think this category is totally a lock, because there are a lot of other favorites that keep winning other little awards along the way. But I think now I would put him as a front runner ahead of, like, I've been rooting for Charles Melton in May December because he's really good in it. But we talked about this with like Zac Efron, who may or may not get nominated for an Oscar for The Iron Claw. I think for someone like Charles Melton, if he gets a nomination for May December, that will be the win. That'll be like, hey, like now you're a part of this like kind of league of actors, and now we can see what else you can do beyond this. And maybe he doesn't necessarily need to win, but maybe the nomination will be enough recognition. And there are also people that are rooting for Ryan Gosling, because a comedic performance doesn't always get the attention of the Academy Awards, because there's an assumption that comedy is easier to do than drama, and a lot of actors will say it's the opposite. It's harder for them to do comedy. And a great comedic performance deserves recognition too, so he's still kind of in that mix as well. But I do think Robert Downey Jr. is going to eventually take that.
I agree. Last one.
And then this last one, she's been killing it all award season. I feel like she's won every supporting actress award she's been nominated for. But yeah, best performance by a female actor in a supporting role in any motion picture, Divine Joy Randolph from The Holdovers. I think we both have talked about how great she is in the movie. Very deserving of all the recognition that she's getting. Super happy for her, because like she's one of those people that like I just know of as just over time who's kind of been leading up to kind of having her moment, and it's nice to see her actually really having it and enjoying it. And you can tell that she is really just riding the wave in a positive way of all the attention that she's getting for the movie. And it's also cool to see like her co-stars super happy for her too. Like,
definitely,
it's clear that they all became kind of close while doing it. And yeah, I'm just really happy for it. And I feel like that's the one category that feels like it's a lot. I can't think of
hers alone.
I can't. Unless something truly crazy happens. But yeah, I think that's kind of
definitely where that's seeing her performance. Couldn't be happier for her. She deserves it. It was fantastic. I didn't get to see her speech yet, but I'll be looking that up later too. Very happy for
very good speech. Yeah, she's very happy, and she's like, she was. I love seeing people who are genuinely like, when they're having their moment and they're finally getting it, in a very significant way in front of their peers. I think that is a pretty amazing thing to see. There was one moment not on the show, it was on the red carpet, that I thought was interesting because a lot of people don't like Brie Larson, but Brie Larson had she had a full on like crying fit meeting Jennifer Lopez, and at first I thought I was like, people are gonna watch this and think that she's faking it. But she literally teared up when she saw her on the red carpet and said that, like, when she saw Jennifer Lopez and Selena, and I guess I forget about the age difference because Jennifer Lopez is like a timeless beauty, but she's in her 50s, and Brie Larson is in her 30s, I think mid 30s, and she said that when she saw her and Selena, that she knew that she wanted to be an actress after watching her in that movie, and like she kind of broke down telling her that, and then Jennifer Lopez teared up, and then like Brie Larson's mom was like standing to the side and saw all this too, and it was like a really. I like nice genuine moments between actors like that because, like, you know, it's can be viewed as so stuffy and like, oh, do they really like each other? Is there just a lot of competition? And like, it was just a real kind of nice genuine moment between two accomplished performers and just showing one showing their love for the other, and even the other one, even Jennifer Lopez saying that she was a fan of her. So I thought that was a nice thing to see.
I didn't catch that, but that is nice.
That wasn't on the show. But yeah, that's
that wraps up. Right? That's the Golden Globes of 2024. Early in the year, and excited to see how the other award seasons shows will follow. But there you guys have it. Nice, quick, little brief one breaking down the Golden Globes, and that sums up episode 142. We've got the news for the week to break down here next. But this episode's nice, short, and sweet for you guys. For those that didn't catch the show that are listening, now you're all caught up and have a few other award shows to look forward to that we will be breaking down. And for those that haven't remembered, Oscar nominations come out January 23rd. We will, of course, be spending ample time breaking that down too later in the month.
Yeah, sounds good. And I'm glad. Well, guys, it was funny. Just gonna give you a little behind the scenes thing about our little Golden Globes episode and this next news one. We were trying to test each other on how to keep the show short. And other than me throwing this last little thing, congratulating us for keeping it short, we kept it at like 41 minutes. So like I'm gonna pass in the back because we actually did it because we can go long, not because it's bad, just because we just love talking about this stuff together.
Exactly.
But we kept it short for you guys, and I'm very happy for it. So good job, Jackson.
Good job, us.
There we go.
And thank you guys for tuning in another week.
Until next time. Peace.
See you guys.